Well, hello there, everyone. By now, it should be quite obvious that I am, in fact, your cruise director, John. And if you're watching this, then that means that, sadly, we're at the end of our cruise. What I'd like to do is take just a few moments to kind of help that transition from being with us here on the beautiful Solstice to getting off the ship and back to your respective homes. By now, you should have received letters from guest relations, luggage tags, custom forms, all the things that you'll need to officially get off the ship. And most of these things are common sense, ladies and gentlemen, but I know if you're like me, whenever I go on vacation, sometimes I leave my common sense at home, and it's always nice to hear someone to actually tell you, take you by the hand verbally perhaps, and give you a little tip on how to make the transition as easy and as seamless as possible, which it is. So follow me, and we'll get started. Now, as far as physically packing up and getting ready to leave, there are a few things that you should know. Many of them, again, are common sense. We would ask that you leave any essential things that you might need overnight and early in the morning out of your luggage. For instance, medications. Your CPass card, very important because you will ding off the ship one last time. Your photo ID or passports if you need that. And believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, and it's amazing that I have to say this, but a change of clothing for the morning, because we're going to ask that you have your bags outside your stateroom no later than 11 o'clock in the evening the night before, because your stateroom attendants will take your bags throughout the evening, put them down in the ship's hold so they can be the first things off and waiting for you in the ship's terminal. I've seen the results of folks that have forgotten to leave a change of clothing out for the next day, and trust me, it's not a pretty sight. So do yourselves and the rest of your fellow guests a big favor in that regard. Also, I know that a lot of our guests have gone to our library and checked out, if you will, some of the books from there. You still have a little time to finish those up if you'd like to do so. We'd appreciate it if you drop the book back off in the library, but if it's easier just to leave it in your stateroom, then your stateroom attendants will get those back to us. As the son of a librarian, I appreciate the fact that we have such a literary crowd and a literate crowd here on board, so we hope you've enjoyed the time that it's been maybe out by the pool deck to read some of these wonderful books. If you have paperbacks that maybe you brought on yourself and you would like to leave those, you're welcome to do so, and we'll simply recycle those for the next set of guests coming on. But again, please so make sure that you leave the library books here on the ship. There's nothing, trust me, more embarrassing, ladies and gentlemen, than getting into the ship's terminal and having our library sniffing dogs going around your luggage. So let's avoid that altogether. The luggage tags that you had on your bags when they came onto the ship, you can go ahead and take those off, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to give you new luggage tags. You should have received these already. And this is where it comes down to personal choice. I find it's a lot easier to fill out the new contact information before you peel off the back and stick it onto your bags. You can do it any way you like, but again, make sure that you put the new tags on. This is how you'll find your bags when they get into the ship's terminal. The folks that will not need to put those tags on their bags are those of you that have arranged prior to this for your express departure service. Express departure service is something that is offered for our truly independent guests that will need absolutely no assistance getting off the ship. You're responsible for your own bags, both carry-on and regular luggage bags. Wheelchair stateroom assistance is not available because we need to reserve that for our other guests. So if you have arranged for the departure, the express departure, you're on your own by your own accord. Now, you do have early times that you can leave the ship, but if you would like to hang out for a little bit longer, you're welcome to do so until we give the final all ashore call. So if you'd like to hang out in our restaurants or here at the wonderful Cafe El Baccio, have a cup of coffee before you leave, that's available to you as well. In fact, the restaurants are open quite early this morning, ladies and gentlemen, because we know many of you would like to fuel up before you head out, but I wouldn't fill up because I'd hate for you to spoil your appetite for that delicious airline food that some of you will have available to you later in the day. Peanuts? Yes, please. For the rest of you, if you are going off, if you have a transfer to the airports, or perhaps you're going to have a taxi or maybe friends or family pick you up at the ship's terminal in Fort Lauderdale, just make sure that you're in the right lounge at the right time this morning so that we can call you off in a good timing. We're going to make sure that your bags are out and available and waiting for you as we call you out, so it goes very, very smoothly. Usually we have the ship cleared as early as 9:30 or 10 o'clock in the morning. It's a very easy process, ladies and gentlemen. If you've been through it before, it's not anything to worry about. So just again, consult your letter, common sense approach. And lastly, perhaps more importantly, we'd ask that you make sure that you have all of your customs information filled out prior to leaving the ship. That's the easiest way to just whip right through all the lines when you get off the gangway. Make sure you have this filled out. Only one is needed for every member of the family, so only the head of the household needs to fill this out. It's pretty straightforward, ladies and gentlemen. Name, address, and did you visit any farms? Probably not in this trip. So there you go. Have that, your passport or photo ID, depending on where you're coming from, and your SeaPass card in hand when you're leaving the gangway, and that will make your whole transition so much more smoother. And amazingly enough, ladies and gentlemen, we are literally back to where we started almost 7 days ago when you first joined the ship. There is one last thing I would like to point out, and for me and for the crew members here, it is perhaps the most important, and that's this, our guest questionnaire. Now, many guests have asked me about the overall cruise experience and exactly what that entails. Well, ladies and gentlemen, think about the overall cruise experience as the overall crew experience, because certainly nothing reflects the service that you get on any ship, particularly the Celebrity Solstice, than the hardworking crew. So those men and women that have gone above and beyond for you, this is where you can recognize them. And then, having taken the time to fill out the guest comment card, ladies and gentlemen, then take literally that last step over here next to guest relations, and please make sure you drop it into the box yourself. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's pretty much it. Very simple and straightforward, but we want to make sure that the transition is as seamless as it possibly can be. It has been an absolute pleasure having you aboard this magnificent ship. I hope that I have the chance to sail with you again. If not on the Solstice, then perhaps on one of our other beautiful ships somewhere in the world. Thank you again for sailing with us, and as always, next time, we'll see you around the show.